Hey everybody, it's Elizabeth, and this is day 26 of my 90-day TUF'ER challenge. I'm a little under the weather this evening, so please forgive the lovely appearance. And if I seem a little down, it's just because I don't feel well, but tomorrow's a new day, and I know I'll be feeling great. Had some little minor victories today, which I want to celebrate with you. Eating-wise, I haven't been able to eat a whole lot today, but doing my best. Exercise-wise, I went in for 9:30 boot camp, or not boot camp, semi-private training with Shayla, and I was about 6 minutes late, and I paid for it. I've learned not to be late to any of my classes, so I'm going to try really hard to be more disciplined in that. Shayla made me stay 15 minutes later and do some cardio, so it was pretty funny. It was all good though. I also had an amazing meeting with my dietitian Tony today at the gym, and we talked about retaining water, and I said I really feel like I am right now, and sure enough, he measured my waist and it was larger than it was 2 weeks ago, which the only explanation for that is that I'm retaining water. So it's good. That's a good feeling to, like, I'm starting to know what's going on with my body, and I was right, so that was good. Also, we went over some successes that I've had. I haven't shared with you yet, but I'll tell you tonight that I'm a type 2 diabetic, which means it's pretty much my fault that I'm a diabetic due to diet and lack of exercise. Although it does run in my family, type 2 typically is, because you're overweight. So the success I've had in that is that my fasting blood sugar has come down about 60 points since I started this program a little over 3 weeks ago. So that is huge for me, and I see it coming down even more and eventually getting off my meds. So I'm very thrilled about that. So that's a little victory for me. Well, kind of huge, I guess. But also, we talked about I'm learning more and more not to be so focused on the scale. And I mean, eventually, yeah, if like I'm 6 months down the line and I haven't lost some good weight, I'm going to be ticked off. But for right now, in the moment, I'm learning not to focus on the scale, but to focus on all the other good things that I'm doing and to trust the process. Part of that was really validated today in my meeting with Tony, because we talked about how I'm going to talk science a little bit, which is hilarious because I'm so not a scientist and I'm so not smart. But what I understand from what we studied today is that carbohydrates break down into glycogen, and for every gram of glycogen that's stored in your body for energy, 3 grams of water has to be stored with that in order for it to work right. So when a person first goes on a diet, they typically shed really quickly, like in the first week, a good amount of weight. I lost 10 pounds the first week, and all of that was water, because I drastically changed my diet, and during that time I was just eating what I thought was healthy, not what anybody else said. And so I did cut back on carbs, not necessarily intentionally, but just because I wasn't eating fast food hamburgers 3 times a day and ice cream and candy. So I mean, I was dropping huge amounts of carbs, and so my body immediately attacked the glycogen stores and the water, and so I lost a lot of water weight. And so that's why my weight is fluctuating so much. I hope that makes sense, but I just want to encourage anybody who is struggling with the scale right now, just to know that initially that weight that you drop really fast doesn't necessarily mean that you're not successful later on. He also said that typically when people go on diets or whatever, the first 2 weeks, they really drop a lot of water weight. They don't know it's water weight, unless they're educated. But and then after that, the weight loss drastically drops, and so that's when people tend to give up. Hello, totally my history. Like, I usually give up after the first 3 weeks. I'm out. I'm like, I'm done with this. It's not working, which is kind of how I have felt with this program. I'm like, okay, I lost 10 pounds and then I gained a little back and now it's slowly coming back off and what the heck. But now I totally get it. And so I'm very excited about that. The other thing is that because I'm exercising, my cells, which have been resisting insulin, are starting to accept insulin. And so that too is kind of jacking with my body a little bit until my body says, oh, it's a good thing. So it's kind of a mixture of good and bad for me anyway. I mean, the bad is that my weight's not coming off very fast, but the good is that I'm getting healthy, and I feel so great about that. The other little victory that I noticed today is that I have suffered for so long insomnia, just having to take melatonin every night. I was taking Tylenol PM for the longest time, but was afraid I was developing an addiction, so I got off of that, started taking melatonin every night, and now and that was just to go to sleep. I mean, I couldn't sleep without it. Now I'm noticing that about 10 or 10:30, Mama's getting a little tired. So I'm going to start cutting my melatonin back by half and then hopefully get weaned off of that. So I just feel like, oh my gosh, so many good things are happening right now, even though the scale's not doing what I want it to. Right now, that's not what I'm really measuring my success by. It's all the other wonderful things around me. The final thing I want to tell you, which is hilarious to me, is that yesterday, or actually I think it was on Sunday, Shayla said, in your meal planning for this week, I want you to plan in a splurge, a little treat for yourself, and it's you still have to stay within your calories for the day, but it needs to be something that you wouldn't normally get to have. So I immediately knew what I wanted. I planned my meal around it, my day around it, and last night we went to Corner Bakery for dinner. And normally when I would go to Corner Bakery, I would have a meal, and then I would get one of those baby chocolate bundt cakes and eat the whole thing by myself. I mean, it's not huge, but in calories, it's 500 calories for just one of them, or it's more than that, like 560 or something, for just one. And I would totally eat and like lick the plate and everything. Not really, but you know, I love my chocolate. So that was going to be my splurge, but looking at the calorie content and the carbs and all that, I was like, ugh, I really shouldn't eat the whole thing. That's just not a good choice for me. So I split it in half and just had half of it. And yes, I ate every crumb. But the funny thing to me is I was so excited about getting to have it. But after like the first bite or two, it wasn't such a big deal anymore. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. But it wasn't so huge that I had to share it with you right away. I mean, I got to the gym today and I was like, oh, I forgot to talk about my cheat night last night. I mean, it obviously wasn't that big of a deal to me in relation to everything else that's going on. So I guess that's kind of cool, I think. Anyway, I'm trying to think. I think that's all I wanted to share with you tonight. Prayers are appreciated that my tummy will feel better so I can hit the gym hard tomorrow and that I'll be on time for boot camp in the morning. So thank you all so much for support, and I will see you tomorrow.